and let us all do we can to build a better future.
It's official and it's been confirmed. Tucker Carlson has interviewed Russian President Vladimir Putin. Can you hear him now? The liberals are crying. He's a traitor. He's a Russian agent. He's a Russian asset. How could Tucker Carlson do that? He's irrelevant. He's a bad man. You want to know what's fantastic about this whole meltdown that you're seeing by corporate media, indicating that he's a traitor and that he's promoting Russian propaganda, is that he's not the only one that's interviewed Vladimir Putin. MSNBC has, and so has CNN. Other journalists have interviewed dictators and tyrants and controversial leaders before, and we got a whole treasure trove of videos there. The thing is, Tucker Carlson has every right as a media personality, and yes, he has a lot of popularity. He has a huge following on social media. So it comes as no surprise to me that he's going to interview Vladimir Putin. I mean, great. More content for me to talk about and everybody else to talk about. Is Tucker Carlson a traitor? No. Is Tucker Carlson a Russian agent? No. And I could say this with absolute confidence. And hell, I invite, you know what? Just to stir the pot, just to get people angry, just to own the libs. Tucker Carlson, in the off chance you see this video, we here at Hard Lens Media, Chicago's fastest growing independent media network, invite you to be on our show. Oh no, is Kit Camello a Russian asset? Is all this other stuff? It's so stupid. It's beyond belief. The meltdown, and it's hilarious, but it's the chef's kiss. It should tell you how unprofessional many people are in BSDNC or CNN when they go broke for 1 month with that CNN Plus BS. These people are not professionals. These people are children. So, with that, I want to play this video of Tucker Carlson making this comment about interviewing Russian President Vladimir Putin. I'll keep my pausing minimum on this because I want Tucker Carlson to share his thoughts and to explain why he did this. Guess what? I don't care that he interviewed Putin. None of you should. It's going to be another thing, and the world's going to keep on moving on. So let's first hear it from him. By the way, folks, this might be the only sane video because everything else that I got from corporate media will make you question everything you will ever see posted on MSNBC or CNN or anywhere else in the corporate machine that rules over American media.
We're in Moscow tonight. We're here to interview the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. We'll be doing that soon. There are risks to conducting an interview like this, obviously. So we've thought about it carefully over many months. Here's why we're doing it. First, because it's our job. We're in journalism. Our duty is to inform people. 2 years into a war that's reshaping the entire world, most Americans are not informed. They have no real idea what's happening in this region, here in Russia or 600 miles away in Ukraine. But they should know. They're paying for much of it in ways they might not fully yet perceive. The war in Ukraine is a human disaster. It's left hundreds of thousands of people dead, an entire generation of young Ukrainians, and it's depopulated the largest country in Europe. But the long-term effects are even more profound. This war has utterly reshaped the global military and trade alliances, and the sanctions that followed have as well. And in total, they have upended the world economy. The post-World War II economic order, the system that guaranteed prosperity in the West for more than 80 years, is coming apart very fast, and along with it, the dominance of the US dollar. These are not small changes. They are history-altering developments. They will define the lives of our grandchildren. Most of the world understands this perfectly well. They can see it. Ask anyone in Asia or the Middle East what the future looks like. And yet the populations of the English-speaking countries seem mostly unaware. They think that as nothing has really changed. And they think that because no one has told them the truth. Their media outlets are corrupt. They lie to their readers and viewers. And they do that mostly by omission. For example, since the day the war in Ukraine began, American media outlets have spoken to scores of people from Ukraine, and they have done scores of interviews with Ukrainian President Zelensky.
Now, I want to pause it here, because it's important. Like I could be interrupting and interrupting. No. So first, he says the one thing I disagree with him on is that the media that we have here in America is supposed to inform us. Got to challenge you on that one, Tucker. You know, obviously he goes into detail how hypocritical the media is, but the establishment media isn't here to inform us. It is here to placate us and keep us subservient. But he is absolutely correct that, look, you have to interview people. It is your job. You know, I've interviewed libertarians, Greens, socialists, Democrat candidates. I've interviewed activists and organizers. And you know what? From time to time, I would get messages from people saying, you shouldn't interview them, or you should interview this group or that political party. How dare you do this? We always have armchair general people, and something me and Daniel, since we started Hard Lens Media, we're all too familiar with the armchair general saying you shouldn't speak to this person or that person. The best example was I was told I didn't interview enough candidates who are independents or women. And I remember telling this person, well, I've interviewed 3 women of the Illinois Libertarian Party, and they just gave me the sour look like, you shouldn't interview those people. I'm like, they count. They count. So the thing is, this isn't earth-shattering. And I'm seeing in the live stream chat, people bringing up how Oliver Stone interviewed Vladimir Putin. Did the world panic then? No. It's because this is Tucker Carlson, and there's a reason why corporate media is panicking. The reason why corporate media is foaming at the mouth is because Tucker Carlson, on his own initiative, which is something I can respect, created his own media network that has far more value than corporate media, has far more people tuning in than corporate media. Case in point, when with Republican debates, the second Republican debate was happening, Trump was on the show with Tucker Carlson, and that brought in more viewers than the debate did. It's the truth. A lot of these people in corporate media are jealous. They've always have been. Let's continue on.
We ourselves have put in a request for an interview with Zelensky, and we hope he accepts. But the interviews he's already done in the United States are not traditional interviews. They are fawning pep sessions specifically designed to amplify Zelensky's demand that the U.S. enter more deeply into a war in Eastern Europe and pay for it.
By the way, want to pause it here. Sorry for it real quick. Megyn Kelly also interviewed Putin. That's from a few other people who are typing it in there as well. So yeah, she did that too. Where's the panic? It's because it's Tucker Carlson, and people in this country lack critical thinking. You know, when they see Tucker Carlson, they think of Donald Trump. And let's face it, at this point, Trump isn't living rent-free in these people's heads anymore. He's got better things to do. What he did was he took a sloppy dump in their minds, and that's all what they see now. That's how little I respect the people who have Trump derangement syndrome. You're worried about a guy that doesn't even know you exist.
That is not journalism. It is government propaganda. Propaganda of the ugliest kind, the kind that kills people. At the same time, our politicians and media outlets have been doing this, promoting a foreign leader like he's a new consumer brand. Not a single Western journalist has bothered to interview the president of the other country involved in this conflict, Vladimir Putin. Most Americans have no idea why Putin invaded Ukraine or what his goals are now. They've never heard his voice. That's wrong. Americans have a right to know all they can about a war they're implicated in, and we have the right to tell them about it because we are Americans too. Freedom of speech is our birthright. We were born with the right to say what we believe. That right cannot be taken away no matter who is in the White House. But they're trying anyway. Almost 3 years ago, the Biden administration illegally spied on our text messages and then leaked the contents to their servants in the news media. They did this in order to stop a Putin interview that we were planning. Last month, we're pretty certain they did exactly the same thing once again. But this time, we came to Moscow anyway. We are not here because we love Vladimir Putin. We are here because we love the United States, and we want it to remain prosperous and free. We paid for this trip ourselves. We took no money from any government or group, nor are we charging people to see the interview. It is not behind a paywall. Anyone can watch the entire thing, shot live to tape and unedited, on our website, tuckercarlson.com.
Hey, that's show business, by the way. People are probably upset that a lot of viewers, a lot of eyeballs are going to be going to tuckercarlson.com. You know, hey, it's a good plug. It's not shameless. I mean, hey, I interview Putin. Go ahead and check it out. Watch the views come in. to all those liberals who are saying, "Kid, how could you be so dismissive about this?" Well, it's show business, baby. Calm down. Everybody in media does it, okay? Calm down. Calm down. Have a cup of tea. It's not the end of the world. Tucker Carlson interviewed Vladimir Putin. Putin's there. Putin's hiding under your bed. He's hiding in your closet. He's in the back seat of your car. Putin's in the middle of the road. Putin's chasing you. Putin, Putin, Putin. How intellectually stupid are so many people in this country right now? He did it on his own dime. Okay? Good. I hope it's a great interview. I'm going to check it out, and I'm willing to bet a lot of those liberals and vote blue, no matter who people, those Rachel Maddow sycophants, are all going to also secretly watch it too. Why? Because they want to.
Elon Musk, to his great credit, has promised not to suppress or block this interview once we post it on his platform, X, and we're grateful for that. Western governments, by contrast, will certainly do their best to censor this video on other less principled platforms because that's what they do. They are afraid of information they can't control. But you have no reason to be afraid of it. We are not encouraging you to agree with what Putin may say in this interview, but we are urging you to watch it. You should know as much as you can. And then, like a free citizen and not a slave, you can decide for yourself. Thanks.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm going to do. And I encourage all of you to do the same too. Take time out of your day, make yourself a nice cup of tea, and go ahead and watch it when you have time. I want to pull this up from Nico House, who will be a guest on our show next week. The media is going full-on blitzkrieg against Tucker, and he hasn't even released the interview yet. Here, therein lies their motives. They want you to be so disgusted by the thought that Tucker would dare interview Putin that you won't watch it. Well, I'm going to. Because if you do, you might discover you've been lied to by Western media politicians about all things involving Russia, Ukraine, and Eastern Europe for years. For years. Want to pull up this video here? Remember Jen Psaki saying like, "Oh my God, Tucker Carlson interviewed Putin." Well, look at this video from Hotspot. And Psaki labels Tucker Carlson as a conspiracy theorist. The way she words it in this video, she's secretly like jealous. It's sort of like in high school where like, you know, the person who has a crush on you like hates you just a little bit, like, "Oh, I hate him so much." Ugh. Just the way she's talking. It's kind of funny. It would be funny if it weren't so sad. Oops.
It might be worth asking yourself, since it is getting pretty serious, what is this really about? Why do I hate Putin so much? Has Putin ever called me a racist? Has he threatened to get me fired for disagreeing with him? So why does permanent Washington hate him so much? If you've been watching the news, you know that Putin is having a border dispute with a nation called Ukraine.
Border dispute is certainly one way to characterize a major military invasion. Of course, Carlson is now just another far-right conspiracy peddler with a show on the internet. He's no longer on Fox, as we all know.
Oh, she had to make that jab. But she's like, "Oh, he's got an internet show." But I will bet in secret, Jen Psaki's like, "He's got a show on the internet and he doesn't have somebody yelling in his ear all the time." Psaki, put in the earplug. Sorry. That probably doesn't happen on MSNBC. But I'm going to think about it, that's what probably happens. Just had to throw it out there.
Carlson is now just another far-right conspiracy peddler with a show on the internet. He's no longer on Fox, as we all know. And he's apparently been spending the last few days in Moscow for some reason. Who knows? We don't know why. He has to stay relevant somehow. So I guess we'll learn in the coming days. Maybe.
She's just a little jelly. I think she's a little jelly. Like, oh, I hate that Tucker Carlson so much. Notice me, senpai. Anyways, I'm being mean. That's not right, but I'm not sorry. Hey, look, CNN, the most trusted news source. Tucker Carlson is in Russia to interview Putin. He's already doing the bidding of the Kremlin. You know what? Hashtag Tucker. What's it like being a Russian agent? Tucker Carlson's interview with Vladimir Putin hasn't been posted online yet, but he is already doing the Russian authoritarians' bidding. How, CNN? Proof, evidence. This is like when everyone was smearing Tulsi Gabbard as being an Assad apologist or a Russian agent and calling her a traitor. Okay. Now, I might have my different opinions with Tulsi Gabbard or anybody else, including Tucker Carlson. But the thing is, what I'm not going to tolerate is people being smeared and slandered in a way in which they're being called traitors. How? Where's your proof? The evidence, CNN. In a video posted to X announcing the sit-down Tuesday, the first interview Putin has granted to a Western media figure since his full-scale invasion of Ukraine 2 years ago, Carlson particularly and dishonorably villainized the press. No, corporate media, you did that to yourselves a long time ago. The right-wing extremist, the right-wing, oh no, right-wing. He's so right-wing, everything's right-wing. Who has lauded autocrats in recent years, claimed English-speaking outlets are corrupt and lie to their audience as they disseminate propaganda of the ugliest kind. Projection much? Oh, you know what? Who wrote this? Oliver Darcy. Oliver, are you jelly? Do you have a little bit of a schoolboy crush on Tucker? This kind of writes as a letter like, oh, I hate you so much. As a supposed example of manipulative media behavior, Carlson accused journalists of engaging in fawning pep sessions when interviewing Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky. Well, yes, all of you were. I mean, I remember 2022, okay? I remember how everyone was saying Zelensky's this great fighter. He's like a World War II leader. You know, I remember Time Magazine where he was like this big front center person. And then what happened last year in 2023? He's a little man all alone. Turns out, like, people are dying needlessly in a war that could have been avoided. I know, liberals. I know you're both like, well, there's a war going. Well, the war could have been avoided. There was nothing stopping the United States or anybody else doing a sit down. Yeah, right. While technically true, okay, so then he goes on to say, while technically true, Carlson is lying by omission. The very thing he accused the Western press of doing in the video he posted online. It's true that no Western journalist has interviewed Putin since the onset of the war, but it isn't for a lack of trying. The actual reason is quite simple. Putin declined to grant access, a fact that should make it all the more obvious as to why Carlson, of all people, has been welcomed to the Kremlin palace, while others have been denied. Does Tucker really think we journalists haven't been trying to interview President Putin every day since his full-scale invasion of Ukraine? Says CNN Christian Amanpour rhetorically remarked upon seeing Carlson's claim. It's absurd. We'll continue to ask for an interview, just as we have for years now. Well, then boot up and suit up, Christina Amanpour. Go. Woman it up and go. Okay, I shouldn't have said that. All right, well, whatever. Asked Wednesday why Carlson was granted the interview, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Psaki said he has a position that differs from the others. It is in no way pro-Russian, nor is it pro-Ukrainian. It is pro-American, but at least it contrasts sharply with the position of these traditional Anglo-Saxon media outlets. Oof. That's gotta hurt. That's gotta hurt indeed. So I'm gonna pull up this here. White House denies ridiculous Tucker Carlson claims. Allegations that the administration, I know this is from RT, just to trigger the libs. Allegations that the administration of U.S. President Joe Biden tried to stop journalist Tucker Carlson from interviewing Russian President Vladimir Putin are ridiculous, said our favorite White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, said during a daily press briefing. The former Fox News host interviewed Putin on Tuesday. The Kremlin has confirmed. Carlson, however, has claimed that Washington has constantly attempted to block his overtures to the Russian president. This is a quote from Tucker Carlson. Almost 3 years ago, the Biden administration illegally spied on our text messages and then leaked their contents to their servants in the news media. They did this in order to stop a Putin interview that we were planning. Last month, we were pretty certain that they did the exact same thing once again, but this time we came to Moscow anyways, as they should. Now listen here, folks. This is going to trigger you. This is going to make you upset. And if you're a liberal, want to give a shout out to Kaneko the Great. The corporate media is freaking out about Tucker Carlson interviewing Vladimir Putin, yet history shows that the media has interviewed controversial figures in the past. Like CNN with Osama bin Laden, CBS was so damn insane, and 60 Minutes was Putin, and NBC was Putin. Say it ain't so. Look at all this. And again, you can check this out, but here, let's pull the video here. So bin Laden, Hussein, and Putin, not once but twice. What is going on?
Is Russia a democracy? Россия — это, конечно, демократия.
In order to be a journalist today in Russia, do you have to, in effect, bow the head and bend the knee to Putin?
It's kind of like what you have to do in the West, right? Remember, you can never go out of line unless the liberals come after you.
Of course, Carlson is now just another far-right conspiracy peddler
Hi, Psaki.
with a show on the internet. He's no longer on Fox, as we all know. And he's apparently been spending the last few days in Moscow for some reason. Who knows? We don't know why. He has to stay relevant somehow, so I guess we'll learn in the coming days.
Mr. President, it's been a long time since you sat down.
This interview came from 2021. Hey, Jen Psaki, Jen. This guy interviewed Putin. Is he a Russian agent?
With an American television network, almost 3 years, I think. Thank you for your time. There's a lot to discuss. I hope we have time to get to all of the issues.
As Putin is trying to court the MAGA GOP in the United States. In fact, one of the leaders of the MAGA GOP is in Moscow tonight. It's the man you see here with the MAGA leader, Donald Trump, Tucker Carlson. Possibly there in Moscow.
So in other words, you made an accusation that Tucker Carlson's part of the MAGA movement. You're making an accusation that he's somehow involved with Trump's campaign. Well, until it comes out, you are spreading out false information. Okay? Now, yes, you see both Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump hanging out. They're laughing, whatever. What's the big overall threat here? CNN. You guys have interviewed dictators and tyrants before.
Go to interview Putin. Definitely there as a Putin supporting celebrity.
You have declared a jihad against the United States. Can you tell us why?
The US government has committed acts that are extremely unjust, hideous, and criminal through its support of the Israeli occupation of Palestine. And we believe the US is directly responsible for those killed in Palestine, Lebanon, and Iraq.
Mr. President, do you expect to be attacked?
So look at that. Look at that. Look at that. All these people. Let's pull up this video here now. Let's pull up this video here. Let's bring some sanity back in. Shout out to Glenn Greenwald.
Carlson has since echoed many of the Kremlin's talking points in its war against Ukraine, slamming Washington for its support of Ukraine while suggesting the West is to blame for the invasion. Now, this is, I think, one of the most insidious themes that has entered our discourse. And actually, it's been around for a long time. The idea that if you oppose the involvement of the United States in a foreign war, it means you are automatically on the other side, that you are a supporter of whoever the United States wants to go to war with, and that you are spouting the talking points of America's enemies simply by virtue of opposing the war, because obviously it's always in the interest of whatever country the U.S. wants to go to war with for someone in the United States to stand up and say, I don't want my country involved in this war. I don't want my country financing this war against that country. And this framework that they are imposing, namely that if you oppose the war in Ukraine and having the United States pay for it, you're somehow echoing Kremlin talking points, is so malignant. This is what was done to people who opposed the war in Vietnam, that you were serving the Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese communist leader because you were opposed to the U.S. war in Vietnam. If you were against the U.S. war in Iraq, the invasion of Iraq, you were pushing Saddam Hussein talking points because Saddam Hussein was saying it's an illegal and unjust invasion. And if you were an American saying that too, you were echoing Saddam Hussein's talking point.
Now, look, I want to just pull up this right here. Look, MSNBC or NBC. Charlie Kirk tweeted this out. Why was it good when Kiara Simmons interviewed Putin for NBC in 2021, but bad when Tucker does it in 2024? It's almost like one side writes the rules, so it's always, we can do whatever we want. You can never do anything. And look, just for point of reference, here it is, a full transcript of the exclusive Putin interview with NBC. Say it ain't so. Let's continue on.
Same with the effort to overthrow Bashar al-Assad. If you wanted your country not to do that, you got accused of being a pro-Assad propagandist. Same with the attempt to change the regime in Libya. If you were opposed to that, somehow you were echoing Muammar Gaddafi's interests. Wanting the U.S. to withdraw from Afghanistan meant you were pushing the Taliban agenda and the Russian agenda. Do you see what they've done? They've made it so that any dissent to U.S. foreign policy, especially the U.S. policy of endless wars, which enriches the large corporations that fund both parties, automatically makes you a traitor. Means that you are espousing the talking points of this other country. Now, Tucker had said so many times that he knew almost nothing about Russia. He had no interest in Russia. He had never been until this trip. And his opposition to the U.S. funding of the war in Ukraine was based on his view that he has espoused many other times that the United States should not be funding foreign wars, especially when it has no interest in the American people. That's a common view in American political life. If you poll Americans and ask, are we fighting too many wars? Should we be the world's policemen? Overwhelmingly, Americans will say no. This is a neocon tactic to say that if you oppose American wars, then you're on the other side. You're a traitor to the United States. You're echoing the talking points of America's enemies. But it's now in places like The Guardian, a liberal outlet, because American liberals, Western liberals on the one hand, and neocons on the other have completely merged. They have the same exact mindset, the same exact agenda. And so this attempt to equate dissent to your government's war policies with treason used to be confined to the provinces of the lowest level, scummiest neocons, and now it is standard establishment liberal discourse.
And I want to stop right there. Again, I wanted to bring some sanity back in. So we started off with Tucker Carlson explaining why he's doing it. We're ending off with Glenn Greenwald explaining overall why the liberal media establishment, corporate media establishment, is completely hypocritical. Tucker Carlson didn't do anything wrong by interviewing Vladimir Putin. That's show business 101. That's how you do content. And hey, he's a journalist. He has every right to have whoever he wants on his show. It's his own programming. And if MSNBC has its panties in a knot, well, then too bad. All right, unknot them. Okay, calm down, fix yourself up, go to the bathroom, fix yourself up, clean yourself up, all right? And then boom, go on with the rest of your day, BSDNC, New York Times. Nobody cares. Because you want to know what's going to happen? This interview is going to drop. It's going to be hot for maybe a week or two. And then guess what? People are going to move on. Move on. Move on. And I'll tell you why they're going to move on. Because something else will come along. And it will. So all this stuff about the overall threat of Tucker Carlson and what he's going to do and how he's a Russian agent and Russia is going to get you. Where's your evidence and proof? This is overall what I've been saying about corporate media. It is a dying institution, and it's doing everything it can to remain relevant, which is why the algorithm on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or YouTube favor it so heavily, and why independent media, and we know this all too well, why we have been censored so hard with the jackboot of censorship, because corporate media can get away with it, apparently. Corporate media can keep on smearing and slandering people. Corporate media can do this and that, and there's a reason why people aren't tuning in. So do yourselves a favor. I encourage all of you to see that interview. And if you come out brainwashed like a Russian agent, well, then guess what? I don't know how you pulled that off, but obviously, if you come off being brainwashed, that says a lot about you, okay? This is just going to be another simple interview. You're not going to get brainwashed. You're not going to get turned into a Russian agent. You're not going to turn right wing. It's just going to be an interview between Tucker Carlson and the Russian president. That's it. It's going to be an interesting interview. I'm very curious to see just what they do discuss. And we here at Hard Lens Media, we're going to discuss it and talk about it. And I encourage people to maybe go outside your bubble. Go outside your safe space and talk to people. I've talked to a lot of people who I disagree with, people across the political spectrum. But you know what? That makes me a better person. I want to be challenged critically and maybe see things through another side. That's what I want to do. That's what I believe in. That's why I believe in free speech. So Hard Lens Media, we stand for that. So until then, folks, all this panic that you're seeing from liberal media, these are the people that tell us the news. They're not emotionally mature. They're adults. They're just not really critically thinking adults. They're incapable of removing emotion from doing their job. 2024 is going to be a funny year, folks. Keep your heads on a swivel.